All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So, what I'm going to call this podcast is it's not always about what you say, it's about what you don't. Or I'm going to call it, do you always have to have the last word? Not sure which one it's going to be, but I think you get an idea what I'm going to be talking about in this podcast. And the reason I say this is because I think in my past, a lot of times I was somebody who always had to have the last word. Or a lot of times I didn't know when to shut up. And I think a lot of us don't even realize that we're this type of person. And if you know anything about me, I try to help men and lately women regarding some relationship advice, especially at the beginning if you've been having problems while dating or just trying to, find someone to possibly get in a relationship with. Just dating advice in general. And I think a lot of times at the beginning, there's a lot of jibber jabbering and a lot of talking. And I call it performing too. And I'm always talking about wanting people, when you meet one another, to have interesting conversations. Because if it's not interesting for both of you, it's most likely going to suck. Nothing is worse than being in a conversation where it's either way over your head, or it's boring you to death, or they just keep talking about things that you're not interested in. Now, at the beginning, when you don't know one another, that's kind of understand. You kind of understand that. It's going to happen at times, because especially if you're going on dates. But what I'm going to talk about here isn't just about that. It's just about, having conversations that a lot of times, instead of always having to have the last word or throw a dig or just not knowing when to shut up, I think this happens with a lot of people. They can't handle silence. And if you really look at a lot of relationships that are pretty strong, in my opinion, a lot of them can be together and there's a lot of silence there. They're just very calm. You could see it even in a restaurant sometimes. Now, I'm not talking about being sick of one another and kind of just, you don't even want to hear each other's voice. I'm talking about friendships, relationships, whatever. And that can include you with your siblings. It could include your parents. It could include you with your wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever. When you can just sit there in silence and just be comfortable, just eating, for instance, or having a cup of coffee, even looking on your phones where somebody doesn't always have to be talking. It could be in a car. There's always somebody that you may be with that always has to talk. You may be in certain environments where they shouldn't be talking. It could be a movie theater. It could be a library. It could be somewhere where you're reading and they keep talking. Or it can also be they're just interrupting you in general, showing you things on their phone, that type of shit. So here's the deal. I'm just going to tell you, pay attention again to your behavior, especially if you're starting to meet other people you're interested in dating or being in a relationship with. Because I think a lot of times, and I think a lot of times too, a lot of women get thrown under the bus. Like they're the ones who are always talking. I'm going to call bullshit on that. I see a lot of guys that never shut the fuck up either. They're always either talking about all the shit they're doing or what they plan on doing. They're always in pitch mode, always trying to kind of impress maybe the woman or dude or whoever. So it kind of goes both ways a lot of times, but a lot of men don't acknowledge it when they're talking. They only acknowledge it when the woman's talking. They're like, man, she never shuts up. I'm like, dude, you never shut up either. And I'm one of these people. So I know a lot of times I need my girlfriend, or I don't care if it's my parents or my friends, to shut the hell up, Or, hey, can't you see I'm busy over here? Because I think we all do get excited about what we want to say and what we're doing. But again, you got to make sure it's the right place and right time, and that you don't go on and on and on. And, I've been really studying a lot of behaviors, and what gets horrible is the more you sit back and just listen, it's kind of like, or say people watching. You may do this when you travel, when you go to a restaurant, a lot of people, you go to the mall, you kind of just, you're observing what everyone's doing. The problem with me lately is I'm observing too much of myself, maybe, and others, just sitting back and listening. And I'm seeing a lot of things, at least discussions, that are just nonsense and a waste of time. And a lot of times I could just now, at this point, see they're either setting things up for negativity, but to see if you'll fall for it, right? See if you'll start kind of commiserating with them. Or they'll just start to throw things out there to bait you to start an argument. All these type of things you have to be aware of. Don't get caught up I will officially wrap it up with this. In conversations you don't want to be involved in. That doesn't mean you can't listen to them, because a lot of times we can't just dismiss others talking to us, especially our loved ones or friends or whoever. It could be a work colleague. We got to listen. You can't constantly be telling your friends or everybody to shut up or walking away from them or ignoring them. But you don't always have to engage in it. So again, it's not just about what you're saying, it's about what you're not saying. So I just want to do a podcast on these. I'm trying to shorten these as well because I like them shorter. But if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out. I'm at rich@richtolenza.com. My website's richtolenza.com, and my program is masteringselfconfidence.com. And I touch base on a lot of different things regarding this in my program, or even if when I'm consulting people, even if it's not relationships, people just have to be aware of what they're saying and doing and how the impact of words has in their life. Because I don't think a lot of people realize that, especially if you're having problems meeting someone else or trying to be in a relationship. Maybe some of your problem is you're not engaged enough, you're not interesting enough for people to stay around. Or the other thing is you just never shut up. And people just don't want to hear from you or hear things that you have to say in it. That includes emails, texting, messenger, whatever the hell it is. You may just be, verbal overload. I call it audio assault. So just pay attention to that. All right? Take care, and I wish you nothing but the best.